Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine. I have started vlogging after brutal Russian invasion of my independent and beautiful country, Ukraine. And if you're new to the channel and you support Ukraine, please subscribe and together we will witness our victory and fall of Putin's regime. I'm convinced. And in my daily vlogs, I speak about the things that are important for this victory. And of course, I'm always glad to answer your questions, so feel free to put them below in comments. Also, subscribe to my Instagram and subscribe to my Twitter to get more updates because I try to post different things on these social platforms. And today I want to speak about Belarus. And let it be personal. Those of you who are new to the channel may not know that I live in the semi-safe zone of Ukraine in its western part that borders European Union, Poland and Belarus. That's why everything that is happening in this country is super personal and important for me. At this moment, I am sorry to say, but Belarus is definitely not a real country. Why? Because it was annexed by Putin's regime, and Lukashenko, the last dictator of Europe, often called the self-proclaimed president of this country, did everything to save his power, and he could not do it alone. He needed support of his big brother, and that's why he actually sold Belarus to Russia. Belarus has interesting history, beautiful language, nice culture, and I pray that one day it all returns back to Belarus people. I am more optimistic about Belarus than about Russia because from my previous communications with people from Belarus, observing some movements and even their try to change this regime in summer 2020, if I'm not mistaken, prove that this country is more capable of at least some democratic tries. So Belarus became once again in the center of attention because of Wagner Group and PRIGOZHIN, who, instead of being criminally persecuted in Russia, was sent or were allowed to go to Belarus. Honestly, this is one more thing that proves that Russia is a medieval wild state, not a modern country. Why? Because can you imagine, like, first Prigozhin is accused of a riot, of a betrayal of his motherland, a criminal case is open, and then during this day, this criminal case is closed and he is allowed, he is sent to Belarus. And Belarus is what? A prison. And there are lots of ideas what he can do there, and let's discuss all of them. But before I continue, I have to tell you, I do not believe that so-called totally dependent President Lukashenko was an active negotiator between Putin and Prigozhin. Because let's be honest, with all need in each other, because Lukashenko needs Putin, Putin needs Lukashenko, Lukashenko is not a figure, he is not independent, he is totally dependent. Of course, he is good at maneuvers, he tries to back up himself, he is not like very active in various public speeches right now because he sees failures of Russia and that Putin's regime may very likely fall soon. And once again, he is all about survival and he does everything to back up his future. Of course, he doesn't have any real future apart from somewhere in the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Why? Because once again, he gave his country, its territories to Russia, and Russia used them and Russia and Belarus weapons and some of Belarus military to attack Ukraine and to destroy, to shell us. So definitely this is a country of war. And today, another war criminal, Prigozhin, is there, dead, alive, we don't know. But what can that mean? In comments, many of you are afraid that he was sent there to organize another operation and to attack Kyiv. This is not something new. Kyiv was attacked from the territory of Belarus at the very beginning of this brutal war, and we were totally unprepared. Why? Because we believed full-scale war is impossible and that is total absurd. And that is actually total absurd, but Putin likes total absurd. So we are prepared and we are not afraid of that because a bunch of his soldiers that did not manage to take Bakhmut for months are not that dangerous for Kyiv. Of course, we don't want any attacks, we don't want any artillery, we don't want any new destructions or new victims, but that's the reality of war. And if he plans to go to Kyiv or Chernihiv or other Ukrainian cities, don't worry, they will be met by super professional and super prepared Ukrainian armed forces. So actually they will meet their death. They call death their business, so let them have this business in Ukraine. But I don't think that's the option, because I truly believe there is a conflict between Prigozhin and Putin. It was not 100% staged, and I don't know what may happen there. Others say that Lukashenko will use it as an opportunity to negotiate some benefits for himself, to a little bit avoid these pushes to enter into war openly with Ukraine. Once again, for me, Belarus is a country of war, and we all see that there are planes and various tanks, they cross the border from Belarus into Ukraine. But of course, now that Lukashenko sees this war is a failure, he tries not to be like seen and fixed. He still looks for options, maybe in Turkey, maybe elsewhere, you know. Unfortunately, the world is full of authoritarian regimes, so perhaps he will look for another brother, father, bodyguard somewhere else when Putin is arrested, or maybe they will be arrested together. But I don't think that, once again, he was a real negotiator and that this will give him some benefits. Because, come on, let's be honest, let's be real. Look at Lukashenko, the way he speaks, the way he moves, the way he explains war logics using a pointer on an old paper map. Just when I saw it before the start of war, I realized, oh my God, how far away in the past Russia and Belarus are actually. Really somewhere in the Middle Ages, a mixture of Middle Ages and Soviet Union. Middle-aged Soviet Union. I don't know how do you say it. So others say that Putin sent Wagner group to Belarus to actually organize a riot there and to I don't know, kill or imprison Lukashenko, and that Prigozhin will be the next president of Belarus. For me, this also does not seem very likely, because these are all predators, or how do you call those animals that eat other animals? And any sign of weakness they treat as a green light to attack, to destroy, to kill. It's not about support, it's not about some human values, it's about like eating each other. They are just like the snakes in a jar. So whatever they decided, whatever they were negotiating is actually not so important. Why? Because they break all agreements. And from one point of view, honestly, for me, it's interesting to know, like, what is all about, why Prigozhin stopped, why he started, what will happen to Putin, what will happen to Prigozhin, or actually when that will happen to both of them, and why they decided to describe Lukashenko as a negotiator. So something really weird is happening, something very chaotic, and there are lots of people behind that. Why? Because Russia is not about personalities. They don't have personalities, they change history. They don't like bright, interesting, intellectual, rebellious people. They destroyed such people, they imprison such people, they kill such people for centuries. And as a result, perhaps they've lost them as a kind in their population. They eradicated these qualities, and now they have this totally passive masses. And even behind Putin, behind Lukashenko, and behind Prigozhin, there are lots of people, lots of criminal networks, lots of various systems like FSB and KGB that actually make them, control them, then they control the systems, but they are not free and they are not independent. And that's why they hate freedom and independence. so much. But we are different, and if you're new to the channel and you share our values and you want to witness the victory of Ukraine and its allies, please subscribe. Remember to introduce yourself to our merch. The link to the shop is below this video, and our t-shirts, caps and other stuff work perfectly as conversation starters, and Ukraine still needs your support more than ever during our counter-offensive. Thank you for buying me coffees. I actually have one here. Thank you for becoming my patrons, but most importantly, thank you for your continued support of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!